Kia ora and welcome back as we head into session 2 of day 3 of Get Into Games Aotearoa New Zealand 2022. I am still that guy Zeno J. Joined
And
of
I am
course.
still Kahu Tapsel Bennett.
Oh, we're Tapsel Bennett this time around. Okay. That, of course, as we continue our day looking into esports across Aotearoa, and we can't talk about esports without looking at the players out there grinding away in their games of choice, trying to make it to the top. So let's have a look at what that may look like as we look at the Commonwealth side of esports.
We're discussing an activity that has the word sport in its title, but you can do it from your lounge.
The popularity of esports has rocked over the last few years.
The dream for many teenagers playing computer games. Esports will feature in the Commonwealth Games.
And that dream could come true at this year's Commonwealth Games.
An esports tournament will run alongside the Commonwealth Games,
Winning a gold medal for it.
An internationally recognised event it opens up loads of opportunities for you younger players.
Esports is really structured around competitive gaming and framed around values like teamwork, communication, discipline, building confidence, all of those sort of sporting values that we really cherish.
I mean, it's quite a spectator sport, isn't it?
the Global Esports Games held last December attracted more than 500 million views.
And it's wildly fun to watch.
Packing out arenas to watch top gamers fight for a top finish.
65% of the 2 billion Commonwealth citizens are under the age of 30.
Data suggests that 16 to 24-year-olds are more likely to watch esports tournaments over traditional ones. We esporters could one day stand alongside our most decorated athletes.
My kind of sport.
There you have it, folks. That is some of the work that goes into becoming a Commonwealth qualifier. And of course, you guys would have noticed, I believe Steve Chamby noticed that, yes, Jonathan Jensen, aka Arcadian, was in that clip, along with the current guest we now have in this session for the day. And they are known as Explosive Fury. That is Sam Johnson, who also showed up in that clip, which was a nice surprise for us. How are you there, Fury? How are you going?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, it was really good to see you in that clip because I think that kind of reinforces the kind of position you have within the world of esports. But of course, while we've introduced you, could you introduce yourself to our rangatahi out there and let them know just who is Fury?
I am Sam Johnson. I play Dota 2 as my main game, and I'm Fury.
He's Fury. There you have it, folks. It's easy as that. Now, of course, we are going to be jumping in to Mythos Party to try to throw Fury off the game. But if they are an esports player,
I mean, I wouldn't. He's a professional player. Like, I'm a bit nervous going into this one, but I don't think we'll be able to throw him off. I don't think this trick's going to work with him. But we'll see. We'll see.
A lot of added pressure. I did my tutorial like 10 minutes ago. We'll see.
So, congratulations on your recent appointment as an E-Black. How was that? How does that feel to be able to call yourself an E-Black?
It feels pretty cool. Like, it's the first time in a while that I've been able to like look at games from a perspective of representing the country, I guess. You know, it's always just been for yourself, for esports. There's never been like country-sided stuff where you're representing your nation, and I mean it's really cool just to be in a space where it's going to be recognized by public view.
Now you said earlier that you had actually retired, but now you've ended up back. What brought you back?
I mean, what was the Commonwealth Esports Championships that brought back the opportunity? And I mean, it's kind of on the idea. The reason we stopped playing, or a lot of Dota stopped happening in the New Zealand, Australia region, was there were just a lack of tournaments since COVID. So I guess, with the Commonwealth Esports Championships being announced, there was the idea that, hey, there's something to fight for again.
Now, when you're getting ready for these kinds of tournaments, can you explain what kind of preparation you need?
So there's a lot of things you go through, I guess. You've got just natural practice, so keeping up with my own game. And so that comes from like like playing my own practice matches, doing my whatever warm-ups I need for to like prepare for future things, future games. And then you got the team practice, so you go into scrim matches, which is generally like pre-organized matches versus other teams, and then you like set goals, work on stuff as a group. So that's when you can kind of work on actual team strategy. And then a lot of time kind of going over mental stuff, I guess, like making sure you're mentally prepared. I think that's probably a bit of an under thought of thing, but making sure you're actually like approaching the game from a healthy standpoint, making sure you're like staying balanced, making sure you're looking at the game and being like, hey, what do I actually need to do? I can't just play 10 hours a day and expect that will teach me something. You are very big.
Man,
that's
so
right. I
much pressure.
pipped him off. Now, can you tell us, how did your family react when they found out you were an E-Black?
I mean, they thought it was real cool. Dad, honestly, he ran around telling all his friends. He was very proud. He was very happy. Yeah, everyone thought it was great. Thought it was great, and they kind of knew about it a little bit before it actually happened, because there's a little documentary crew that's actually going over my road to the Commonwealth. Obviously, didn't quite manage to make it, but they had actually talked to my family before it became official.
You go, Kaz.
No, that's so cool. And just with these big sports, when you're representing your country, you quite often you have your flag, or some of the televised sports, they do national anthems and stuff. And so over the weekend at Armageddon, I was talking to a couple of the commentators for the Halo tournament, Puckett and Walshy. And we were talking about the laser Kiwi flag and just how funny it would have been if that went through, and fighting under the laser Kiwi flag and standing there proud. Now, on that note, you have been a commentator yourself.
I have.
How's that?
I mean, okay, I love talking about esports. I love talking about Dota. So to me, commentating's like not even, I don't know, it's honestly as fun as playing. Because you just get to sit there and talk about everything you've always wanted to talk about, right?
Yeah.
I've played the game for years and years, and suddenly I can just tell everyone else all my thoughts about it.
Now, with that in mind, talking about the pressures of the game, is there a difference in pressure between being an EBlacks qualifier versus maybe just the pro circuit you used to do outside of the Commonwealth?
Sorry, could you say that again?
So, in regards to pressure, is there a difference between
person on screen?
Is there a difference between the Commonwealth and your normal pro circuit that you used to play in?
It's definitely different sort of pressure. I mean, to me, the opportunity to go to the Commonwealth Esports Championships is more important than playing in, like, say, a big prize pool type tournament. So to me, the pressure was actually greater for this one. But I know a lot of the other players, the pressure of this was a lot lower. Like, to them, it's on the esports scale, it's lower competition. Like, just purely because it's national, so you don't have the strongest teams all playing. You've got your national squads playing. But so yeah, for some people the pressure was a bit lower, but then for myself, I think it was a lot higher.
Right. There's a good question in chat here from Sean Gear 20. What was the process to becoming an E-Black?
So for this one, the Commonwealth Esports Championships announced 3 games. So it was eFootball, Dota 2, and Rocket League. And there was just a national qualifier for all of those games. So the winning team for each game got the EBlacks spot.
Nice. So that basically that easy almost, but of course you had to win those games to come out the other side.
Yeah.
And there is another one there, a nice simple one, sort of outside of the esports space. But what is your favorite game there, Sam?
So, my favorite game is Dota 2.
Dota
I've
2?
always played it for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah.
So that has been my favorite game for a while.
Right.
But I don't play lots of other games, but I do play some sometimes. I think. One of my natural stress reliever go-tos is actually RuneScape, bit of an old one.
Classic,
But
yes.
if I just want to spend an hour or two watching a movie, it is definitely good to just grind out some skill that has no concentration required, and just at some point get some sort of oh, I did it, I achieved something.
Nice. I like that. So that kind of a comfort game, just to pull you outside of where you are right now. That's very cool. What was the first game you played? Surely it's not Dota 2.
Oh no, it definitely wasn't Dota 2. Unfortunately, it would have had to be Warcraft before that. But I think the first game I ever played was actually Age of Empires.
Oh, okay.
Oh yes. Sorry, I think I stole.
Yeah. No, that's all
your
right.
ability.
That's too late now. Age of Empires, very classic. We love the Wololo
My introduction to Age of Empires, this is how old I am. We used to get video games in cereal boxes.
Cereal box, yep.
Yeah.
That's where I got mine. Kellogg's cereal box.
I got Nutrigrain. I think it was Nutrigrain Cocoa Pops and stuff. And remember, you got Tony Hawk as well.
Yeah. Wow. People are probably going, what's cereal? What's a CD?
What's cereal?
Do we even eat cereal anymore these days, So, no, that's very cool. What else have we got in the chat? So I'm trying to elim people while reading the chat. What else? How long have esports been in the Commonwealth Games? Is this the first year for it? Sam?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is the first year. This is also the first year of the EBlacks.
Wow.
So everyone who successfully qualified is the original EBlack squad. That's kind of cool. I reckon.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Oh.
I like how we're all very hyper-focused on this game right now.
So big.
Oh, I survived.
I did just jump off the cliff.
I think you made that hole too.
I did. I accidentally took myself out. This is a good one there, Sam. Hopefully you'll be able to answer this question. How old do you have to be to get into esports? And maybe specifically this EBlacks level?
So, specifically to play for the EBlacks, to play at the Commonwealth Games, I think you actually have to be 18.
Right.
So it's either 16 or 18 or over to play. But my recommendation, I think the younger you start, the better. I also think there's a huge balancing thing. It's something where starting younger is better because you get used to all the mechanics, you get used to how games work, you get used to just how things interact, But there's a huge balance of respecting the game, respecting the people you're playing with, and actually trying to approach it from a perspective of trying to learn. I think a lot of people just play games because they're I want to play games, but if you actually want to get good, you have to look at it, give yourself goals. It doesn't matter what the goal is. It can be the tiniest of goal, but you need to look at the game and just want to get something out of it,
Yeah. No, that's a really great way of putting it. And I appreciate you using Get Good as a way to kind of entice the players out there into it, Now, a really great question here from Kyoto to Farm Cove Intermediate out there at the moment. They said, thinking of it from a school point of view, what would be the starter games for an esports team? They have about 4,000 hours of Dota 2 and feel that they're still a noob. As a teacher, I think my students might struggle with the Dota 2 learning curve. What kind of starter game do you think a person interested in esports should get into, or should they just dedicate themselves to titles such as Dota, which require a lot of strategy?
I actually think yes, people should be playing strategy games. But I think you want to more look for not specifically single-player games, but games you can play by yourself. So I think Age of Empires, for me, was actually an amazing start point. You've got really good AI in the game that you can verse until, like, a very, very a reasonably high level. Like, even decently good Age of Empires players can struggle with, like, the top AI.
Yeah.
So, you've got a huge level there that you can just learn completely playing by yourself. So I think you're looking for a game like that, a strategy sort of game that you can play multiplayer if you really like that aspect, but also something where you can teach very, very transferable strategy and game mechanics to people in a situation where, yeah, they can go home, and if they have 1 hour to play, they can play versus some bots. They don't have to have people to verse. They don't have to go in with that, like, kind of social bit at the start where people can tell you off when you make mistakes. It's like, yeah, I can go in, I can be like, I want to follow a guide that I found online. I want to see if I can do this build, and then practice it.
Yeah. I just want to point out for chat, if you haven't noticed, that yes, the pro player did finally take us out and win Lithos party. So,
Yeah, he came
yeah,
first.
so congrats to Fury for that one there. There was a great question just back up a little, and it said, how long does it take to become an E-Black? But I think that's more orientated around, how many games did you have to play before you locked in your spot as an E-Black?
I mean, for us, as this is the first time, I think it was a lot easier than it will be in the future. There were only 8 Dota teams that submitted, so there wasn't a huge portion of time, and I think due to it being kind of new, there wasn't as much exposure to the fact that it was a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we only had to beat 7 other teams, and in the perspective of Dota, I mean, I've been playing competitive for over 9 years now.
Wow.
And you can expect, like, a lot of, like, the New Zealand scene is naturally quite small. A lot of the people we had to verse were first year of competitive or not even competitive players. They were just like, wow, Commonwealth, so they joined it. And so for us, it's not like, I don't want to take anything away from our opponents, but it wasn't like a super difficult step. It was something like, there are a few of us in New Zealand who've been practicing for a very long time. And now that there's this national component to everything, especially going forward, if the Commonwealth, the Olympics, these sort of things continue, I'm sure it will get a lot more difficult as time goes on.
Yeah, especially like you said, as the exposure grows, people will start jumping into it, and we might see more and more teams actually competing out there, which, yeah, would facilitate a very hard tournament to occur just to become an E-Black, which I think would be quite good. Now, I have seen in the chat a lot of people talking about the likes of Fortnite and Apex Legend. I think in terms of pro tournaments, those ones have their own issues more around how those machines are, they're kind of content driven, right? So do you think games like Apex and Fortnite can ever reach a pro level again? Will they be able to get that kind of, that renown they used to have with the World Cup, or are they just these content machines that they are now?
They're definitely content machines. And I do think they can get back to, like, your pro sort of level. I mean, Fortnite still has events. You can still play for pro Fortnite. Same for Apex. I do think there is a couple of sketchy lines though. So in a game like Fortnite and Apex, you need a lot of players to play a game.
Yeah.
You need 20 different teams or 10 different teams all in the one game. So that is one huge limiting factor when it comes to these, like, more national events. Finding that many teams is actually, like, can be difficult in the first place. And then you've also got, this is completely unconfirmed, this is just pure speculation by me, but especially when you're looking at the early Commonwealth, early Olympics, these early events that they are being made for the people, right? For the public, to get exposure out there, to get it into the community, to get our parents to be like, hey, this is cool. And I don't think many people's moms want to see their kids on stage shooting people.
No.
So all of your FPS titles, I think, at least at the start, even though they are amazing esports, when it comes to these national events, I do think they will struggle to get across that line early on.
Yeah, no,
I think one of the criticisms in the discussion about getting video games to the Olympics was actually the violence in a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, what games could actually cross the line for the Commonwealth,
Mm.
and that's why we have seen the likes of FIFA and whatnot make the cut. On that note, there, Sam, we have appreciated all your time you've given us this morning, and of course beating us in the game. On that note, where can our rangatahi out there in school find any of the stuff you're doing at the moment online?
Ooh, find me online. I mean, actually, my graphics card broke on me over a year ago, so I haven't
Oh,
actually, I don't
wow.
actually stream anymore.
Okay.
And since COVID, I've pretty much not been doing all that much. But I mean, if you want to follow me, I do have, I guess, Twitter /Explosiv Fury without the E at the end of explosive, because character limit, just in case anyone thinks I can't spell. That's where it came from. But yeah, if I ever get back into things, I mean, I'm sure I will with the EBlacks being a thing now. Twitter will be where any updates happen.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Well, appreciate your time there, Fury. Appreciate you beating us in the video games. You have definitely lived up to your title of an E-Black, especially Kahu. She is very competitive with this game for some reason.
I get to say that I played a game with an E-Black now.
Yeah, we do. We do actually get to say that. So thank you so much for your time, Fury. As for us, we will be cutting over to a short video with the Christchurch Libraries and some very interesting things happening in that space. Let's check it out.
Kia ora, ko Danny toku ingoa, mahi anō ngā kiti wānanga o Te Tai. My name's Danny and I work for Christchurch City Libraries. My title is Special Projects, which essentially means anything. So yeah, which is why I've been involved in sort of getting 3D printing going, makerspace stuff, and of course this latest thing, which is the esports. Okay, so the actual genesis of that was probably 10, well not quite 10, but maybe 9 years ago. This young guy was coming to after school programs, and he was one of about 3 that came to our after school programs. They're called digital sort of programs. And I'm like, why does no one come here? What's the deal? So I asked this guy, he was maybe 8 or 9 at the time, and he goes, you need to get Minecraft. And I'm like, okay. So how do we look into that? And Ōtautahi Libraries are really fortunate because we've got a dedicated web team, and our web team, and also an IT team. So I spoke with the people that I knew in that team and said, oh, can we look into this Minecraft thing? It's a request from a customer, small customer, but hey, it's a request. And we did, and we've just been rocking Minecraft ever since. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, COVID knocked it about a wee bit, but what's actually happened is that in the interim, when we couldn't have tournaments, and we didn't really want to have tournaments because, you know, you had this massive social distancing and masks and everyone sort of subdued, we want it to be a real buzz. So in the interim, when you could get school groups in and they were in their own bubble, they could have their masks off and get buzzing and all that sort of thing. So we've focused on actually building the sessions weekly in libraries. So people come into the library and it's actually grown a lot. Yeah, so we've got lots of kids. Don't know if you've got footage there, but you can probably show some of the sessions that are happening at some of the sort of libraries. I'd like to see it sort of branch out into not just school kids in high school, but community. So on the weekends, with all this equipment around and the interest that there is in esports and gaming, we really should be having people coming in on the weekends to set up scrims, and you know, it doesn't matter what game that they like, we can look into getting it, as long as it sort of fits within the realms of what we think is appropriate. Yeah, so some games are not appropriate, so we won't be doing them. But things like League of Legends and Valorant even, they're great because they're building teamwork. And we're really getting in, and what I see in particular is that we're getting in people from different ethnicities that actually haven't got involved in sports in any way in schools, and all of a sudden they're actually owning it in esports, which it gives them mana, I guess, and allows them to sort of have a place where they can actually shine, which is great. I think that's really important, and that's what libraries stand for as well. There'll always be a place for books, and it's all about literacy, but there's different forms of literacy. So obviously there's the books, which I would sit in that category of liking to sit down with a book, but I also like to sit down on Discord, or I like to sit down on any game and read what's going on. There's a whole heap of reading that goes on into gaming, and you've got to communicate. So it's all those sorts of things. But so I'm thinking, what's books? So people consider ebooks books, and they are. But technology is kind of a book. It's information. It's just a different way of getting that information out there, and that's why libraries were formed, because people needed access to that information. Regular people, not just the kings and queens. So it's an equity access thing, and technology is the new book.
And just like that, it's now Kahu. My library didn't look like that.
Oh, my library didn't look like that, but we did have video games, and this was when I was in primary school. So I'm 27 now, so I'm not going to do the math, but it's a very long time ago.
No, we're not. Yeah, I'm not even going to just reflect on my youth. I'm pretty sure I just had books.
Video Easy.
Yeah.
Do people still know what Video Easy is? Like, they used to have games that you could rent either overnight.
Videos still exist?
I don't think so. I think Netflix wiped them out.
Well, they're declining popularity. But yeah, to see libraries kind of share the space, growing esports within these areas, giving, kids access to resources they may not have at a place that is known for having resources we can use is incredible. And I'm blown away by Christchurch doing that. I myself would probably find myself there a lot of the time. I'm from a small rural town from Kaitaia up in the far north. And it was years before we even got an internet cafe. But then once we did have an internet cafe, it still couldn't kill our arcade. And I think that's because people love billiards. Which is, the pool games. So yeah, shout out to Christchurch Library for doing that. That's just, I'm blown away by it.
Yeah, that was incredible. And they were top end stuff as well. Like, even the keyboards were nice, right?
They had RGB keyboards. They had gamer keyboards.
They're giving you the full gamer experience though. Like, you're not like a proper gamer unless you've got like the circulating lights. The RGB lights.
Yeah, exactly. We see Xeno Access in the chat saying there's no internet cafe here still. Sergey Rain saying the Dungeons and Dragons book. Great work noticing that. You may have to keep an eye out for session 2 on Friday, which may be of interest to you. As for ourselves, for session 3 today, we've actually had to change it around a little. Unfortunately, our shoutcaster was unavailable, so we should be talking with him tomorrow. What that means is the man that is hiding behind production, aka DJ Blaze, will be joining us to go through how music supports this world of esports and games in New Zealand. We're looking forward to him running us through that in a virtual reality.
You'll be able to see the wizard behind the curtain in a few minutes.
No, he's hiding himself in virtual reality though. So it's
all a wizard.
Yep. Johnny says, I think it's funny how Xenoj has a Razer Death Adder than just a basic keyboard. Actually, the one I have at home is the G93 Logitech. So, and I make it do all the woo-woo.
We have very basic keyboards on stream today.
Yeah, this is mostly so Kahu, when she gets competitive in Mythos Party, if she smashes it, it's okay.
No, I do not promote. I've never broken a headset. I've never done anything there.
No
I don't
toxicity,
promote that.
please. No toxicity.
No, it's actually because mechanical keyboards are too loud and they'll get picked up on the microphone.
It will get picked up on the microphone, exactly. That is us for our 11 a.m. slot. Please join us back here at 12 p.m. for that music spot with the magic man behind the curtain, like Kahu said, in a virtual reality space. That would be DJ Blaze. We will see you then. I've still been that guy, Xenoj, with Kahu, Bennett, Tapsal, Bennett.
Maybe I'm Kahu, Bennett, Tapsal this time.
Okay,
so
there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
So see you guys at 12 o'clock. Ka kite.